Hi, my name is Adam Howell. I am the host of PHYSEDagogy, and I am also at the Dumb Jock Myth on Twitter. And I've received several requests this week to explain a process that I had mentioned briefly on my timeline about embedding a Google form inside of a Google document for student questions and responses. So I thought I'd make my first screencast, my first attempt at a PHYSEDagogy tips, tricks, and hacks for teachers. And we'll see how this goes. So first of all, you can see my Google Drive. Inside my Google Drive, I have a folder for my personal fitness unit, which we are currently teaching. I have a document called the Peer Teaching Fitness Project Master. That is the document that I have students making a copy of. It is a template, and then they are able to work on that document in class. So let's take a look at that document. I even have the PE Geeks logo on that document. And at the very bottom, inside of the footer, I have a link for students to click if they have a question. It's really easy to add a link inside a document. If you create a form and you copy that public link, you just type some text inside your document like this, and you highlight it and hit Apple-K or whatever your keyboard shortcut is to add a link. Then I can paste the URL and click OK. That's how I added the Have a Question link, and that link takes me to a form. So I'm going to transition here a little bit, and let's get a look at 3 different windows. And you can see my peer teaching project. You can see the peer teaching form, the question form in the bottom left, and let's take a look at my master reporting form for questions right here. So I have 3 windows open. Let's start with the window in the top left, the peer teaching project. As you can see, what students would do at the very bottom of the form is where it says have a question, they would click and it would open up the link. All they have to do is click that link. In a new window, it would open up this form right here, questions that you have about the peer teaching project. Now, I have 3 questions I'm asking students. You could customize this any way you want. I have a question for what period students are in B, because that's the class I just taught. Who is in your group? And I will type myself in that space. And then what is your question? So how do you embed a form inside a doc? After that, all students have to do is hit submit. And that's all she wrote. So I will click over here to the Fitness Peer Teaching Questions Master, and you can see that I have 51 responses already, good response, and you can see the timestamp, what the question is, who is in the group, and what period students are in as my identifiers. And these come in real time. So if I scroll down just a little bit, you can see the last questions that were asked currently and the timestamp that they were currently asked at. Now what I will do is I will go back to my form over here, and I'm just going to click submit, and you can see in real time my question pop up on the spreadsheet on the right side of the screen. So I'm going to click submit right here, and you can see my question has already come through. So I've given some feedback to my students, thanking them for their question. They have the ability to edit the response or submit another response if they desire for an additional question. So back on my reporting form, I see this question come in, and I can see who asked it and what period they are currently in. And it allows me to prioritize who I need help. I teach very big classes of 40 students, so I might be working with a group while 36 others are supposed to be working independently. And if a group has a question, all they have to do is submit it through this procedure instead of raising their hand or instead of walking over and waiting for me to be finished. I can quickly glance at my device. I carry an iPad mini on me in class, but it would also work if you had a regular iPad, a Kindle, an iPhone, an Android, an iPod Touch, anything that can run the Google Drive app. And if you're able to do that, then I just quickly look at my iPad mini. I see there's a question waiting for me, and I can address it when it's appropriate to do so. So that's the first advantage of being able to do this, is I'm getting questions. It's almost like submitting a help ticket. And I get those questions, and I'm able to prioritize answering them in an efficient way. The second way this is helping me is students can then ask questions outside of class. and I can get a timestamp on when they were asked, and I can go into their document and I can reply to their question via a comment. And that's a really helpful way to keep the lines of communication open, and it's been very beneficial for me. The third way, and this was unanticipated, but that's been really helpful for me, is I have been able to see common questions that are getting asked over and over again. For example, right here in line 46, we've got what do you put under the timeline right there? And that particular question has been asked time and time again, and it keeps coming up. So it tells me that maybe the language I'm using on the template is not very good language, and when I go to teach this unit again next year, I might want to change that language. I can also look at these questions next year when I'm planning this lesson, and I can anticipate ahead of time what questions will be asked, and it might help me in planning my unit. So those are 3 quick ways that I've been able to find this process beneficial for me. So that's a real quick way on how to embed a Google form inside of a Google Doc for students to be able to ask questions. This concludes my first attempt at PHYSEDagogy, tips, tricks, and hacks, and I hope you are able to use it to improve your practice.